Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. What you were looking at is a half-cleaned slide from my 22 conversion kit for the B229 Equinox. The reason it's half-cleaned is because I was making this video, rambling on as I do, only to find out that, 5 minutes into it, I forgot to hit record. You would think after over 5 years of doing this that I would have this down pat, but I don't. All right, listen. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. For those of you who remember my Voodoo Politics 1 channel, which the reason I don't even use it anymore is because I've been locked out of it. It's a password issue. I'm not really concerned about it, though, truthfully. But for those of you who remember that channel, you will remember me doing a series called Bench Talk, where I did things like clean guns and talk about politics. Well, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing on this channel, because I love doing that. I love cleaning guns, shooting guns, whatnot, and talking about politics. I had somebody send me a PM yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It might have been today. I think it was yesterday. Basically saying to me, what's guns got to do with politics? I thought this was your political channel, blah, blah, blah. And my response to that was, are you serious? What does guns have to do with politics? Second Amendment, ring a bell? Ring a bell. I love celebrating the Second Amendment, so there will be a lot of gun stuff on my my Colonel Richard Hunter channel. And a lot of politics. Guns and politics go hand in hand, in my opinion. In my opinion, which, that and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee, but not at Starbucks. Okay. All right, listen. I'm going to jump into it. And it kind of sucks because I've already told this once, but I'm going to tell it again. Here's today's topic, and that is the illegal, well, let me put it this way. People have asked me what I thought about President Obama basically giving amnesty. You can look at it any way you want, but that's really what it is. Basically giving amnesty to illegal aliens that were here from the time they were teenagers. I guess before 16, I think is the cutoff date. So if you came over here at 17, this doesn't apply to you. But if you came over here 16 or younger, this does apply to you. At least that's the way I understand it. Correct me in the comment section if I do not understand it correctly. Okay, well, here's the thing. And this is, this really puts Mitt Romney into a difficult position because it's a heartstrings type of thing. And I talked to a female friend of mine yesterday, and she's like, oh, we can't throw them out, blah, blah, blah. And she told me about this, I guess she was watching the news, undoubtedly NBC. And she was telling me about some story they were doing on some high school senior that's the class valedictorian and was accepted into a high-end college, was going to go to med school, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, you don't go from high school to med school. But neither here nor there. A class valedictorian, nonetheless, had been here since she was little, I guess, and, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, it's a horrible story. I mean, but she's got to go back. That's my feeling about it. You cannot reward illegal behavior. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying this is the kids' fault. What I'm saying is that if you don't throw them out, if you don't send them back, what happens then is there's one less deterrent for illegals to be bringing their children over. It's bad enough that they come over here pregnant to have their child here. Because in my opinion, regardless of how you look at it, my opinion is, if you are born in this country, regardless if your parents were here illegally or not, if you're born on American soil, in my opinion, you are an American citizen from now until the end of time, unless you renounce your citizenship. That's the way I feel about it. I know there are other people who don't feel the same way as I do. It is what it is. We'll have to agree to disagree on that. Okay. The thing of it is this. It's going to suck for some of these people, but they go back to their country and they apply for citizenship, and, we let them back in. If they do it right. See, that's the thing. People forget. There are people in Mexico and other southern hemisphere countries that are basically playing by the rules and getting the shaft. I mean, why play by the rules? Just come on over. America will welcome you with open arms. Obama's only doing this for political reasons. Now, I'm going to get to that in a minute because he needs his balls busted over it. I mean, the man has no moral compass and will do anything to get reelected. I mean, anything. So, here's the thing. All right. There's one caveat to the whole thing. The one caveat to the whole thing. And that is this. If you came to this country illegally, whether it was by, your own abilities or not, whether you were 5 years old and your parents dragged you here, whatever. Here's the caveat for me. Here's the one exception to me, and I'll tell you why I feel this way in a minute. If you go to your recruiter and you sign up and you serve the United States of America as your adopted country, and you honorably serve your country, your adopted country, and you have contributed in that sense, especially if you've been to war, especially if you've been to Iraq or Afghanistan, then in my opinion, you automatically get your citizenship. And here's how, by the way, this is why I feel this way. I know I've told this story before, but I'm sure a lot of you have not heard it. I have an uncle well into his 80s now, he may be close to 99. I'm not sure. He's old. He's old. He's Hungarian, came from Hungary. And when he was 17, he was fighting in the Pacific. He was on a ship in the Pacific. And, to hear him tell the stories about what it was like, scared out of his mind with the kamikazes coming in, it really is something. And he'll be the first to tell you that he earned his citizenship. Now, I don't know anybody that would argue with that. So, to me, that's the one caveat. If you serve the United States military, but served your country in the military, then yeah, welcome to America. You're now a citizen. How do you like those apples? Hey, I served. A lot of people served. You can let me know in the comment section if you think that's fair. But to me, that's it. In fact, if you're an illegal citizen, you want to better your life so bad. Your life is so horrible in Mexico, and you want to better your life, okay? As soon as you step across that border, and this, by the way, goes for adults. As soon as you step across that border, you head to the only sanctuary. There should be no sanctuary cities. There should be a sanctuary recruiter. If you can make it, and there should be a whole bunch of Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, blah, blah. There should be a bunch of recruiters 100 foot across the border. If you can make it to those recruiters, okay, that's like if you're Cuban, you can make it to Florida. If you can make it to those recruiters and you sign on the dotted line, I say welcome to America. But that's the only way I'll accept people coming over here illegally. The only way. I know there are a lot of people who don't agree with me, but hey, if you don't have, I've said this many times, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. So, that's how I feel about Obama's little scheme to get reelected. And that's really what it is. It's a scheme to get reelected. Now let me talk about that for a minute, because Obama needs his balls busted a little bit there. Actually needs his balls busted a lot. He goes on television, he talks about how this is not amnesty, it's not a pathway to citizenship, blah, 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 blah. Well, what the hell is it? If you're not going to be sent back, how is it not amnesty? Okay? I mean, seriously, how is it not amnesty? You've got some kind of a legal loophole to stay in this country because your parents brought you over here when you were 15, 16 years old? Is that, And all Obama is doing is pandering to the Hispanic vote, which, I've said this a million times, is why they don't want to have voter ID, because we have, through patheticness, as a country, patheticness, because we don't as a people demand, but Democrats and Republicans demand that there is a mechanism that only allows citizens to vote. Because, I love it because the Democrats always talk about disenfranchising. This group's disenfranchised, that group's disenfranchised. All of us as Americans, all of us as citizens are disenfranchised every single time somebody that doesn't have the right to vote votes. How do you not see it that way? Seriously. So Obama is trying to pander to a voting bloc that shouldn't even exist. Really, shouldn't even exist. But he's willing to, by executive fiat, stroke laws into being, which, come on, Mr. Constitutional Scholar. You know, he's stroking these laws into being that disenfranchise me and disenfranchise every other true citizen of this country. It's a big incentive for people to come over here. Hey, if I was in Mexico right now and I was 16 or younger, I'd damn sure figure out how to get to this country. You know? I mean, come on. Obama has no shame. And, you know, here's the thing. I think Colonel Kerry asked a question the other day whether or not we thought that Obama was going to try to legalize marijuana in October as a October surprise. I wouldn't be one bit surprised because that's the way he is. And here's the thing about that, and I want everybody to think about this for a second. Obama's been president for well over 3 years now, and he has done not jack squat for either Hispanics. Well, I shouldn't say that because truthfully, Eric Holder and him have done everything they could to keep the Hispanics here. But the truth be known is that he hasn't done jack squat for marijuana users. In fact, Obama's DEA, and I say Obama's DEA because he sets the policy in this country, have raided dispensary after dispensary after dispensary in states that voted for it to be legal. Literally. I mean, and then when he says that he's for gay marriage, and then throws a caveat on there saying, well, but I mean, you know, ultimately it's up to the states because, you know, he's a states' rights guy. Meanwhile, while he's giving that speech, the DEA is kicking in the doors of a dispensary and arresting everybody and confiscating the medical marijuana. You know, so if in October he comes out and tries to garner the support of the pro-pot people in this country, they ought to just say screw him just for principle, just out of principle. Seriously. But, you know, see, this is the way liberals operate, by the way. In case you haven't paid attention over the last several years, anytime they fear that they can't get the vote out, that they can't get people to show up at the polls, they always put some kind of a marijuana incentive there. Because they're going to get the Frito-eating pot smokers off their asses and get them to the polls. And guess what? Once you get them there, in a big cloud of marijuana, they will vote for the liberals. They always do. Even though it was the liberals that have been screwing them for the last how many years. I know there are going to be people who argue this fact, but it is a fact. All these are facts. Seriously. And I know people are going to say, well, Obama's thrown out more illegals than anybody. Bullshit. Bullshit. You know, I don't know. God. All right, listen, that's all I got. Oh, God, it's over 13 minutes. That's all I got for you. This is my bench talk. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll have more of these coming up in the near future. By the way, there will be a Sig Sauer versus Equinox 229 versus the Glock 23 coming up sometime soon. Sometime soon. So look for that. I'm working on, if you looked at my last video, which was target porn, that was really an attempt at trying to edit. I bought some new editing software. It's called Avid. And I was using Sony Vegas before, but now I bought this Avid software. And, you know, I'm going to try to actually learn how to edit. I know after 5 years, what the hell. And I'm going to try to do some things that, you know, we'll be able to show some things and splice some stuff together. And hopefully the quality of my crappy videos will be much better. Of course, then, you know, I have always prided myself in putting out crap. So anyway, that's all I got. Everybody, hopefully I still have an audience. But if you are still with me, Democrats suck. Obama sucks. Peace out. See ya.